Good afternoon. This is Freeholder Director Sylvia Patillo. And before I begin the meeting, I just want to ask a few people to identify themselves so I know that they're on this call. I'd like to start with the Freeholders. Anthony Fasano, are you on?
I am on.
Okay. Freeholder Herb Yardley, are you on? Freeholder Herb Yardley, are you on the call? Okay, Herb's not on. Freeholder Josh Hertzberg, are you on?
I am on.
Okay. Deputy Director Dawn Fantasia, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Is Tammy Horsfield, from President of the Sussex County Economic Development Partnership, are you on?
I am on.
Thank you very much. Administrator of Health and Human Services, Carol Mavrit, are you on? Okay, not yet. CFO Elka Yetter, are you on?
Yes, I'm on.
Thank you. Will Porter, Library Director?
I am here.
Thank you. Auditor Ray Sarinelli, Senior and Junior?
Ray Sarinelli Jr. is here.
You're both here. Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And due to public health issues arising from the coronavirus, this meeting is being held remotely via a conference call. County residents are invited to listen and will have an opportunity to make comments by calling 973-310-7191. Just to note, the library PowerPoint presentation is on the county website, www.sussex.nj.us. And you can visit the Freeholder page for meetings and agenda to view this presentation. Terry, could I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Freeholder Fantasia.
Here.
Freeholder Fasano.
Here.
Freeholder Hertzberg.
Here.
Freeholder Director Patillo.
Here.
And Freeholder Yardley.
Here.
Oh, good. Herb's here. Okay, thank you. Would you please stand with us for a moment of silence, and I ask that you would remember the families who have lost a loved one during this health crisis. And please join with us for a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic,
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, adequate notice is defined by Section 3D of Chapter 231, PL 1975, has been made by regular mail, such notice being submitted May 1st, 2020, from the Administrative Center of the County of Sussex, located at 1 Spring Street, Newton, New Jersey, to the following: New Jersey Herald, New Jersey Sunday Herald, Star Ledger, WSUS Radio, and WNNJ Radio, and is also posted on the bulletin board maintained in the Administrative Center for Public Announcements, and has been submitted to the Sussex County Clerk in compliance with said act. Before we approve the agenda, we have to amend the agenda to include the addition of Resolution 13N regarding support for COVID-19 at home testing, and the need for an executive session for matters concerning the Andover subacute facility that need our immediate attention under number 1, matters required by law, confidential, and number 6, matters relating to public safety and property. Okay, here are the amendments. Could I please have an approval with the amendments for the agenda?
So moved, Fantasia.
Second, Yardley.
Okay, is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, thank you. I'd like to begin with proclamations. Can I have a motion to adopt proclamations first?
So moved, Fantasia.
Thank you. A second? I have a second, please?
Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 May is Lyme Disease Awareness Month, and that proclamation will be read by Deputy Director Dawn Fantasia.
Thank you, Sylvia. It's very timely because it's yet another health menace. It's back in business, and it is season for ticks. Various types of ticks are getting ready to inflict various types of tick-borne illnesses. The issue of tick-borne illness was first on my radar about 2 years ago when I attended a presentation by the Tick Squad. There's 4 citizens. They formed a task force as well as a support group about ticks and tick-borne illness. Each of those members either has Lyme disease or one of the 11 tick-borne forms of illness, or has a family member who is struggling with that. And they've done a lot in our community to raise awareness. They've done presentations throughout the tri-state area, and they also have partnered with the college last year to do a tick drag. So last May was the first time that the Sussex County Board of Chosen Freeholders had officially proclaimed Lyme Disease Awareness Month in May. So now I will read the proclamation for you. Whereas May is Lyme Disease Awareness Month, and whereas Lyme disease is the fastest growing vector-borne disease in the United States, and ticks are the main source of infection for humans and animals, and whereas each year 1 out of 25 persons will be infected with tick-borne diseases in Sussex County, and whereas ticks become active when the outside temperature is above 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and once infected, many patients are unable to recall a tick bite, with fewer than 50% reporting a bullseye rash. And whereas ticks that carry Lyme disease can carry many other pathogens, one bite can result in multiple infections, including bacteria, parasites, and viruses, which encompass many tick-borne diseases. And whereas Lyme disease can be a complex multi-symptom illness, which if caught early can be treated with antibiotics, but if untreated can invade the nervous system, heart, and multiple organs of the body, causing years of pain, suffering, and severe disability. And whereas Lyme disease is called the great imitator because its symptoms can mimic over 300 diseases, including but not limited to MS, Parkinson's, ALS, fibromyalgia, and Alzheimer's disease. And whereas the best protection against tick-borne diseases is prevention, education, and early treatment. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Sussex County Board of Freeholders do hereby acknowledge and proclaim May 2020 Lyme Disease Awareness Month throughout Sussex County. Copies of this proclamation will be provided to all Sussex County municipalities. By order of the Board of Chosen Freeholders, Sylvia Patillo, Freeholder Director, Dawn Fantasia, Freeholder Deputy Director, and Anthony Fasano, Josh Hertzberg, and Herb Yardley, Freeholder. And if I can also ask if anybody who is on this call can please mute their line. We hear a fair amount of background noise. Thank you.
Is anyone there?
Oh, hello?
Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't
Okay.
hear me. Let me try that again. I'm sorry, must have been on mute. The second proclamation is May 9th, the National Children's Mental Health Awareness Day, and that will be read by Freeholder Herb Yardley.
Thank you, Sylvia. Whereas mental health is essential to overall health and well-being, and whereas serious emotional and mental health disorders in children and youth are real and treatable, and whereas children and youth with mental health challenges and their families deserve access to services and supports that are family-driven, youth-guided, and culturally appropriate, and the stigma associated with mental illness should no longer exist. And whereas children and youth with mental health needs, as well as their families, thrive when they have the proper support and services available. And whereas Sussex County Youth Service Commission and the Sussex County Department of Human Services, in conjunction with the Sussex County Board of Chosen Freeholders, collaborate throughout our community to improve the quality of life for children and their families who have had their lives touched by mental illness. And whereas 2020 marks the 15th anniversary of National Children's Mental Health Awareness Day. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Sussex County Board of Chosen Freeholders hereby officially designate May 9, 2020 as National Children's Mental Health Awareness Day. By order of the Board of Chosen Freeholders, Sylvia Patillo, Freeholder Director, Dawn Fantasia, Freeholder Deputy Director, Anthony Fasano, Josh Hertzberg, and Herb Yardley, Freeholder. I wanted to say that I was proud to do this proclamation. Was a year or maybe two ago that we actually had a meeting on mental illness where a lot of people came to the Freeholder Board and shared their stories. Mental illness has touched many more people than I think we'd like to think, and there is help out there for those that need it. And I hope everyone is able to reach someone and to remember that mental illness, it is an illness. It's not something that we always have control over. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, at this time, I would like to ask Ray Sarinelli, I guess it's Junior, to present the 2019 audit. Ray, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay, good. So, yeah, I'd like to start by saying I hope everybody and their families are safe. This is a difficult time, but, I hope everybody's safe. So tonight we're closing out the 2019 year from a financial perspective with the presentation of our audit. And like all things, finalizing the audit was different. We were lucky that a lot of our audit procedures were able to be done before things got pretty serious, but finalizing the audit was definitely different. So through some technology and ingenuity, we were able to finalize things and move forward and get things moving and be here tonight to finish the audit. So I definitely want to thank your administration and your finance department for being able to work with us through some of the technology issues that we had in trying to finalize the audit. In getting to the financials, the fund balance increased this year to $16,860,000, which was a great way to close out 2019 because it put you in compliance with the newly adopted fund balance policy you had. There was also a lot of good planning done at the end of the year to ensure that your reserves were healthy. So, in speaking of the fund balance being at $16,860,000, this is the highest your fund balance has been since 2008. So there was a lot of good decisions that made over the last 8 or 9 years to try and build the fund balance, a lot of difficult decisions and a lot of good planning done to be prepared for the next recession, which is where we find ourselves, right? So from a financial perspective, you're very well prepared to weather the storm that we're in right now. There's a lot of good reserves that have been built up. Specifically, the storm reserve can be used, was authorized to be used for COVID expenses, and you have a very healthy reserve in your storm recovery reserve. So a lot of good planning over the years has led to a good financial position and to be prepared for the difficult decisions that you're going to have to make over the next few years, over the next few months, I should say. So in looking at your financials, that's what I see. You have a good fund balance. The reserves are built up. It's difficult time to make predictions, and there definitely will be tough decisions to be made, I think especially in next year's budget, but I don't see there being large-scale financial hardships that are going to hit this county because of the planning that has been done over the last 8 or so years. So financially, that's a great thing to see. And lastly, as part of our audit, we always comment on the compliance portion. And so on the very last page of the audit, we have our comments and recommendations. And in this audit, you have one recommendation pertaining to the segregation of duties in your outside departments. For those that have been around for a little while, you'll recognize this because it's in all of our audits, because from an operation your size, it would be incredibly difficult and it's really not feasible to get rid of this recommendation without having a lot of overlap in your departments. So it's a difficult recommendation to remedy, and to only have that recommendation in operation the size of yours, I think, is a good testament to how things are run. Not just in your finance department. Obviously, they do a great job, and we really are very thorough in looking through their records. But because of the federal and state grant funding that you get, we also look at a lot of the other entities. We look at engineering. We look at a lot of different departments, and to have no recommendations in any of your departments, including finance, I think shows that everybody really cares about what they're doing. So that's my report for tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have regarding your financial position or the recommendation that we have. But overall, I see a lot of positive signs in a time when there's not a lot of positive signs.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to go through freeholders to see if you have any questions or any comments. I'll start with freeholder Anthony Pisano.
I have no questions or comments. Thanks.
Freeholder Herb Yardley. Herb, are you there?
Yes. No. Yes, I'm here. No questions.
No concerns. Freeholder Josh Hertzberg.
No comments. I just want to, say good work to our auditors, both the Sarinellis, and of course, Elke Yetters, who's done a fantastic job. So thank you guys for all your hard work.
Deputy Director Dawn Fantasia.
Again, I would like to say thank you as well. And also just to make mention that we are very fortunate that we did have the ability to use our storm reserve, because without that, we would be in some serious trouble right now, being that we have yet to receive any support from the state regarding the cost associated with the COVID crisis. So again, thank you.
Ray, I just want to thank you for the wonderful presentation, and Elka, you just did a fantastic job. So thank you again. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to move on. I know it's a little difficult to do this by conference call. We're going to have a presentation by Will Porter, who is our library director. And once again, you can follow this PowerPoint presentation on www.sussex.nj.us. Okay, Will, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And
oh, wait a minute. We have to pass a resolution. Hold on just a minute. I'm sorry. I missed that. We have to pass a resolution for the certification of review of audit by group affidavit. Can I please have a motion to move that resolution?
Moved, Fantasia.
A second?
Second, Anthony.
Is there any discussion? Not hearing any. A roll call, please, Terry.
Freeholder Fantasia,
Yes.
Freeholder Fasano,
Yes.
Freeholder Hertzberg,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Patillo,
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Ray and Ilka. Will, the floor is yours.
thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I'm trusting you all to believe me when I say that the actual PowerPoint presentation is way cooler than it is on paper. But thanks for taking the time to go over this with me. It'll be familiar to some of you. Various parts of it sort of came up in various phases of the budget process. So for those of you who've heard it, please bear with me. For the rest of you, I'm really looking forward to showing you what we've done here. So to sort of catch everybody up, because it's been quite some time, in November 2017, there was a ballot initiative establishing the New Jersey Library Construction Bond Act Fund, which was a statewide bond to provide $125 million for local library construction. So it passed statewide, it passed in Sussex County, And those funds are, I have confirmed with the state library, they are still available. They cannot be used for any purpose. They have been released to the state library, and they must be used for local library construction projects. The result of that is something that it's kind of easy to overlook just how historic it is. The last time they did this, the state match to local funds was a third of what this match is, and that was 20 years ago. So one thing I like to make sure I point out every time this comes up is this is literally something that is probably not, we're not going to see its like again in my career. And as noted on the PowerPoint slide here, the vote has happened, the bond has been issued, and Sussex County taxpayers will be paying the bond service whether or not we use it here. So in the wake of that, we got right to work on planning for what we were going to do with that. At the root of that was I was new at the library at the time, and we were really had to take a look at our strategic direction and what that was going to be, and so that we could have a clear vision of what we were doing with all of our facilities before we selected one to really zero in on with a project. And so we conducted a process of developing a multi-year strategic plan in which we learned some things. The library is even more popular than we thought. We got nearly 1,700 responses to our survey in 2018, in which over 97% described the library as very important or extremely important to Sussex County, which fascinatingly and interestingly enough, in keeping with national trends, is a larger percentage than people who actually report that they use the library, which is closer to 67%. But that's still a substantial majority of the population of the county. We had a series of meetings with focus groups and municipal officials as well. In the wake of that, we installed some door counters to get a sense of just how many people are coming in and out of the library, which we just got those in place at the end of 2019. We learned in January that we had 28,000 people in and out of our libraries in the month of January alone. And we had nearly 810 circulation transactions in the year of 2019, which is 6.63 per county resident. And so we were busier and more well-liked by the county than we even realized. But we also learned something really important, and that was that the residents of Sussex County are not happy with our facilities. The feedback we got that was not positive was almost exclusively about the buildings, and the focus on Newton and Franklin in particular became clear. But and indeed, Newton stood out between those two. But the problem with Newton is that the Dennis Library, the branch in the town of Newton, does not belong to the county. And so, coincidentally, around this same time, the Newton Library Association, which is the entity that does own that building, contacted me to inquire about the viability of donating that building and the grounds to the county. Which really couldn't have come at a better time, because we were looking at potential costs, even with this historic match, of what it would take to really establish a larger facility in one of those places. And even with the historic match, it was going to be a major expenditure of funds. And what that did, though, was address almost all the concerns associated with Newton, which was, it's not our building. Well, at the end of the process of accepting that donation, it will be. Of major concern has been public entities taking properties currently on Newton's tax rolls off of them by purchasing them. This one has never been on them, as far as I know. And so it wouldn't involve something that that would take any property off of the tax rolls in Newton. And it addresses, the piece that really stands out most to people who've been involved with the library here in Sussex County for a long time, which is that's a really neat and historic building. That's a real key part of Newton and Sussex County history. And so it really facilitated an opportunity for us to take what we've got there and expand it. And so what that looks like is a real opportunity to both grow while we preserve our history in the existing library, and also preserve our history while we grow. There are some drawings in the packet of slides there that show the nature and extent of the renovations proposed, and they're pretty substantial, more than doubles the size of the facility, and and will really allow us to do a lot more with that space. Not least of all, expanding space available for story time, space available for computers, computer labs with an instruction space, so you can have classes that are not going on in the middle of the main floor of the library. Make some space available for teens. It's the building is walking distance to 2 schools right there in Newton, and it doesn't have the space to accommodate the after school crowd. And then in one of the pieces that's really become a major part of what we do here at the Sussex County Libraries is acting as sort of a community resilience center after disasters of various kinds, whether the power going out when it's hot, the power going out when it's cold, or various other matters that have come up over the years. The library has become a place where when we can operate those buildings, that the community can come, charge phones, get warm or cool off, get in touch with friends, relatives, employers, etc. And crucially, it's also in walking distance from the proposed community college facility just down the road. So all of that in the context of preserving a vital piece of Sussex County history. And so, like I said, it's worth having a look at the drawings from the architect in the slides for that I put together for this. It's neat to look at, and it's really a good opportunity to kind of envision what the possibilities are with the existing facility. So the architect, Anthony Iavino, of Arcari and Iavino, I believe is on the line here. Are you with us, Anthony?
Yes, I am.
Did I leave anything out or gloss over something important there that you wanted to chime in on?
Just one key element with this building, because we've, going back probably 10 years or so, we had studied an addition for this building for ADA resolution, and it has to be pointed out that this addition would solve all of the key barrier-free issues with that building, so you won't have the liability associated with that limitation.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up. Under normal circumstances, just remediating the liabilities for ADA compliance in the existing building would be as much or possibly even more than the amount that we're talking about providing as the county match for this project. One thing that I like to focus on as well is the positive impacts beyond Newton. We are relatively unusual in the state of New Jersey in that we're a large public library system with more than one location. Most of the state is sort of dotted with small municipal libraries, and while they have their advantages, things that happen in those libraries really only affect that town. Whereas here, the Dennis Library serves not only the town of Newton where it's located, but it's the primary library for a lot of residents of Andover Borough, Freedon, Stillwater, parts of Andover, Byram, and Lafayette townships. And it's really that sort of whole southwestern quarter of the county. And so there's that part of it, but also the expansion would allow us to move some of the back office functions currently out in Frankfort Township here at the main library into Newton, which would in turn allow us to scale back some other renovations that might need to be done in the future that we've in fact talked with Anthony about before here at the main library as well, so that we can retain the vital service here in the kind of Montague, Sandyston, Branchville corridor, but sort of operate it as a sort of a smaller branch library with the interlibrary delivery center in the back. The other real opportunity that stands out there, and this one is, it doesn't sound like much, but it's actually really exciting from the perspective of a public library administrator, is the possibility of adapting what is currently my office into a public meeting room. The advantage there is one, that it's a pretty big room. You could get a pretty good public meeting space in here, and two, it's adjacent to an exit that can be used after hours with minimal adaptation to the building. So we're talking about a whole different building that's not even affected by the project we're talking about here, that at low cost we can make some substantial changes and adapt it to function more like the meetings rooms at the Sussex Wantage branch, which not coincidentally is our newest branch and the one that got the most positive reviews from patrons in our survey. And so, you know, the question is, what's the bottom line on this? And so we're looking at a total estimated project cost of around $6.58 million. For the eligible cost, the state matching funds are 1-to-1, but there are certain limits on eligible costs. But it comes out to a $3.08 million match to $3.5 million of county funds. And as I believe everyone, all of the freeholders are aware that we're not talking about raising those funds through taxes. Those are reserve funds already in existence in the county. The value we're talking about creating there is that $6.58 million estimated project cost, plus the donation of the facility to the county by the Newton Library Association, which amounts to $1 million donation given the value of that property right now. So when you add those together, we're talking about over $7.6 million worth of value created, which is well more than double the amount that the county is putting up for this. And so one of the things that was almost humorous in the process of this is just how many reasons kept coming up that kept pointing at Newton in particular and the Dennis Library as sort of the vessel for how best to do that. None of us thought it was going to be this straightforward, frankly, going into the planning processes and examining, you know, sort of what the best value for our investment dollar would be moving forward. And just it was uncanny how often everything pointed back to Newton. And so, you know, that's what we learned from that. We do want to be aware that you know, Franklin also stood out as sort of a facility that needs work, but in the spirit of sort of one project at a time here, we kind of wanted to make sure we don't you know, miss this opportunity because we're too busy considering potential you know, other considerations. So that's sort of the brief version. Are there any questions about that?
Get home.
I'm sorry, I'm here. Let me just ask the freeholders one at a time. Will, it's just easier that way.
Sure.
I'll begin with freeholder Anthony Pisano. Any questions, Anthony?
I have no questions for you, Will, and I appreciate you taking the time to give us that really informative presentation. So thank you, but I have no further questions at this time, and I know you and I actually asked some of my questions before the meeting, and you already got those back to me, so thank you.
Thank you.
Freeholder Herb Yardley? Herb, you there?
Yes. So you know what happens is I just so that you know, the phone turns black, and so I have to hit it because I have you on mute. No, I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Freeholder Josh Hertzberg?
I had a lot of questions, but because Will gave a very thorough presentation, I no longer do. So well done, Will.
Thank you. I'm glad I could help.
Deputy Director Dawn Fantasia?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you for sharing the presentation with us ahead of time so we were able to go through it, and I think you explained it very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Will, I've heard it numerous times. Every presentation is well done, and you explain everything very carefully. And to the architect there, Anthony, I want to thank you for all that you're doing. I think it's really an interesting issue to look at your estimate that you gave an estimate to Will, that if we don't go into this match and accept this referendum grant money, that if we were given that building, which we expect in a couple of years, the Newton Library Association will donate that building to us. In order for us to update, become ADA compliant, could cost us more money than the match for the grant money.
It's true. It's odd, but it's true.
Right. So in doing this, when you look at this, when you look at the Homestead money, that was set aside for one purpose, and one purpose only, that you can use that funding, and that's for a one-time project, which this is. And then when you look at the amount of money that the state is giving you, like Will said, it just works together, and all of a sudden the money there that we need to do this renovation, to make the improvements, to expand and actually put a meeting room on that everyone could enjoy, works perfectly. So thank you for being so careful in giving this presentation. I think you touched on everybody's questions, and you answered them in a manner that we could understand, and I hope that the people on this phone call understood clearly the intent of the county in accepting that grant, if we decide to do that, right? So this is just our presentation, but I want to thank you very much for your time, for all your work on this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Will and Anthony, thank you again.
Okay.
All right, we're going to move on. Next is public hearings. We do not have any, so we'll go right to the public sessions from the floor. This session is for items on the agenda only. There is another public session for people to speak on anything they want to speak on at the end of this meeting, but this session is only for things on the agenda. Can somebody please mute their phone? Thank you very much. Okay, before we open the public session, we ask callers who want to make a comment to first state your name and your municipality, and the clerk will create a roster, and then she will call each name in the order she received it. Your comments are limited to 3 minutes or less and must only address, as I said, issues regarding the agenda only. So if you would like to speak, let's begin. Just give us your name and municipality, and we'll just go forward with that. So is there anyone that would like to speak?
Yes, I would. Irene Buckley, Green Township.
Okay. Terry, did you get that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Next.
Peter Knight, Frankfurt Township.
Peter, okay. Anyone else?
Doreen Edwards, Vernon Township.
Doreen, okay, Doreen. And that's Vernon?
Yes.
Anyone else?
Christine Dunbar, Sparta.
Christine Dunbar, Sparta. Anyone else?
It's okay. It's all right.
It's okay.
Mommy.
Is there another caller wanting to speak?
Timothy Mohan, Green Township.
I'm sorry. One person at a time. Who is the caller from Green Township?
Yes.
Timothy Mohan.
Timothy
Mohan, M-O-H-A-N.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tammy Horsfield, Sussex County Chamber and Economic Development Partnership.
Hi, Kitty.
Who else would like to speak?
David Kolstad, Andover Township.
Andover. Anyone else? Is there anyone else? Okay, Terry, would you like to call them in that order?
So we have 7.
Something kind of bullshit that Paul was doing in our department.
whoever is speaking now, you must mute your phone. We can hear your conversation. The first caller is Miss Irene Buckley from Green Township. Miss Buckley, you have 3 minutes. You can start.
Thank you. I have a question regarding the Dennis Library plans. Is it possible to view those plans in person?
Will, are you on the phone?
I am still here. I wasn't sure it was appropriate for me to jump in.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So what we've got so far and what's included in the packet are sort of preliminary drawings. We haven't reached the phase of complicated blueprints or anything along those lines. If you're sort of concerned about the size of them on a computer screen, that's a little bit trickier than usual right now because we're sort of forced to keep the libraries closed by the current executive orders. But
it is on our website, Will, your presentation.
That's correct. Yeah, it's available on the county website at this time, but I'm afraid I don't have a ton of means of making it available in person right now.
Okay, and is that because the library's closed, or because you just don't, or what's the reason? Let me put it that way.
Because the library's closed. Yeah, we we don't have
people in right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I access the internet at the library, so for me it's not possible to access the plans by computer. That's why I was asking if it's possible to view them in person. So is that totally impossible?
I can make a suggestion, Ms. Buckley. If you, this is Terry Lyons, the clerk to the board. If you would like to give me a call tomorrow with your address, I will mail you a hard copy of today's presentation.
Oh, thank you. That would be wonderful. And I have one other comment. I came in a little bit late on the call, so I'm not sure if the parking was addressed with the expansion of the Dennis Library, but am I assuming correctly that that parking would be available at the satellite branch of the Sussex County Community College?
This is Will again. Please stop me if it's not appropriate for me to weigh in again.
No, go right ahead, Will.
I don't have any authority to make any commitments about the community college making that parking available. There is a plan to expand the parking lot within the property available as part of the construction project at the library.
Right, and that would just be the bottom portion where the parking is currently available, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Right, which I think accommodates, maybe a maximum of, 10 cars or so, based on my experience. And that's why I'm bringing that to the attention that, the additional parking would certainly be necessary, or at least, advisable if the expansion goes forward.
Sure. Yeah. As planned, it sort of maximizes the space available on the property there. It's certainly
1 minute.
Not necessarily the size of parking lot that I would have selected. In a perfect world where I had unlimited resources, but under the circumstances, it's sort of the maximum that we can expand the size of the parking lot at that site is the plan there, and we'll certainly be pursuing other options as it becomes as we approach the time when we're able to open the renovated facility.
Okay,
that is your time. Ms. Buckley, that is your time right now. Thank you. I will speak with you tomorrow. Our next caller is Mr. Peter Knipe from Frankfurt.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I really just have a question. It's item resolution M, I believe, concerning the small cities community development block grant. I was wondering, what does that all mean? I'm not sure. It says something about a special item of revenue. Could you explain what that means?
Greg, could you explain that?
Yeah.
Just a minute, Peter. We're just looking for some information. We have a lot of papers in front of us. Just
Sure.
hold on a minute. We'll get you that information.
Sure. I'm familiar with the grant. I was just curious about what the this revenue item meant.
This is Elka. Can I interject here, answer the question?
Yeah, if you have it, Elka, because we're still looking for it. Go ahead.
Okay, so the resolution is a Chapter 159, which means if the amount of revenue and expenditure is not in your budget when you adopt, any grants that come forth after the adoption of the budget, you have to do a resolution to now include that grant as part of your budget. So that's what the resolution is.
Sure. Then I have a second part. Thank you for that. How are we planning to use that grant?
So that grant was applied for renovations to some of the SCARC homes in the county. There was an application done previously. This is accepting the grant into the county. So it was applied for at a previous resolution, and it has been approved by the state, and therefore we're now including it.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Our next caller is Doreen Edwards from Vernon. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Hello, everybody. First of all, I want to say it's very good news to hear about the fund balance and that the reserves are in very good shape. That's very good to hear and appreciate that. Everybody's hard work. I'm not sure about how much money is in the storm recovery reserves, but it sounded like it was somewhat substantial to do what we needed it to do. Second, I wanted to ask about L on the resolution in regards to Comprehensive Cancer Control Grant Award. Can you give me some insight to what that's about for $6,000?
Doreen, could you say that again, please?
Resolution L. Just looking for some more information on that.
Hold on.
Or where I can go to specifically read up on that a little bit more.
This is Elka again.
Yes,
that's an amendment to the 2019-2020 Comprehensive Cancer Control Grant. So the grant is much larger. There was an additional $6,000 that was available for that grant, and that's what the resolution is.
Okay. Where could I read up on that grant?
That is done through public health nursing.
Okay. So that would segue right into my next thing. Thank you very much for acknowledging that May is Lyme Disease Awareness Month and the need for ongoing testing and tick drags. Unfortunately, though, it was mentioned that we did have a tick drag with the college, but that never happened. And what we were trying to do is get some funds available through whatever means possible, just keep this in the forefront and as far as the county health department is concerned. And I just don't know, what else to do, how to try to push that forward. If anybody has any recommendations, I'm all ears and would be very grateful for that. And then just before I finish, I just wanted to say I was very discouraged to hear that our county still has not received any COVID-19 funds from New Jersey. And it's almost to the point where you think it's intentional. And because of the fact maybe that the way that this county thinks, and we've been at odds with the state before. So I don't know if anybody's thinking about any specific thing about this, but I don't know. I mean, is there any action we could take upon the state of New Jersey in way of a suit against them? And
Doreen, let me explain what happened. The first wave of stimulus money came out of the HUD, which is your Housing for Urban Development.
Right, I was on that call.
There's
and we didn't
a formula
meet the criteria
associated with that department that we have never fit into.
Right.
Okay, you had to fit into either by having a population of over 500,000 or a town within your county that has over 50,000 population. Those two qualifications alone knocked us out. We don't fit within that. There were, actually they say there were 4 towns that didn't get any money, but I believe it was larger than that in some of those funds that were designated to some of these towns who are having difficulty fitting in as well. We complained to our man, Congresswoman, and they're in there fighting for us. But unless there's another stimulus package that comes out through another department other than HUD, there's no money available. Now, we asked the governor, our state assembly and senator has asked the governor, because within that stimulus money, there was discretionary funds that he had. So we're waiting on that response. We have not heard that he's going to give us any of those discretionary funds yet. So it's still an ongoing, I hate to say the word battle, but
are you going to be talking about how the soft opening went? Thank you. Are you going to be talking about how the soft opening went for the testing site?
Yes, I will be.
Okay, great. Any other comment on how maybe funds for?
I'm sorry, Miss Edwards, your time is up. I need to move on. Thank you.
May I make a comment?
Yes.
Thank you. Doreen, I wanted to say thank you for clarifying about the tick drag. I know there was conversations back and forth to schedule it, and then they held the tick symposium up at the college. I know that this board has discussed funding for that, and if we had any flexibility at all with any funds allocated to the mosquito budget. However, I don't believe that that's an option right now currently for us, but it is, under discussion with the board for that. Now, with the new social distancing requirements, as far as doing a tick drag anytime in the near future, I don't necessarily see that happening. But yes, we have had conversations about where funds could be found to at least modestly be able to fund something like that, again, in cooperation with the college.
Okay. Our next caller is Miss Christine Dunbar from Sparta.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, and good evening to everyone. So I have a comment and then just a quick question relating to COVID. Is this the appropriate time?
This is regarding matters relating to the agenda.
Yes, I know that, but you had added 2 items to the agenda. One was related to...
Go ahead, Christine. Go ahead.
All right, thanks. All right, so I just wanted to say, first of all, my comment is that it was so amazing to see and speak to the National Guardsman who was stationed, and he was in front of the Andover Subacute 2, and this was only one day, less than 24 hours after last week's freeholder meeting, in which the freeholders were unanimous in requesting their presence. So I was really amazed to see this. I wasn't at Andover Subacute. That's part of my bicycle route, and I saw him and spoke to him. So I thought that was pretty cool. My question, though, is that I called in last week, and I do remain concerned that Newton Memorial Hospital caregivers are not following the FDA guidelines for single use of the N95 masks. So rather, what they're doing is continue to follow emergency guidance for N95 when there are pandemic shortages that are recommended by the CDC. So I'm asking again, when will our brave local hospital workers get the protection they deserve, so we all can be assured of safety together? And
Christine,
I believe
I took your question to the president. We've been going back and forth on the phone, and I finally left your question as you gave it to me last week with the secretary, because he's in Hackenstown and he's in Newton. He's all over the place. Usually takes a while before we connect. So that question is out there, and as soon as I get an answer, I'll let you know. And what I should have asked you to do last week is take down my county mail address so that you can email me, and then I can email you back with the answer. Is that okay?
Yes, I know how to get your email address from the website. I will do that.
Email me, and as soon as I hear from him and I have that answer, I can then email you.
Super. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All righty.
Okay.
Our next caller is it Timothy Moyen from Green Township?
Hi, this is Timothy Mohan. If my comment is, if this is not the appropriate point in time, I ask that that I get put into the next round. But this is again regarding COVID response for the county, and it's primarily a comment. First of all, I would like to thank Freeholders Fasano and Fantasia for returning my email this past week. It was greatly appreciated, and it is in regard to graduations at the various county high schools, specifically Sussex Technical School. I have two daughters who are graduating seniors this year. They are both honor roll students. One is National Honor Society, and I just wanted to make the board aware of how important this event is to these kids and the amount of time and effort that they've put in over the last 12 years to get to this point, only to have the rug pulled out from under them over, the last, 2 months of the school year with regard to, social distancing guidelines and COVID. And I would like to ask the board if they had within their power or any influence with regards to the county and the state to somehow attempt to make arrangements so that not just the kids over at Sussex Tech, but the kids throughout the county can rightly get the recognition that they deserve and get a chance to have the closure after this important period of their lives. As a father, I've been married, I've seen, my parents pass away, and I know, within the context of a 50-year-old, it doesn't seem like that much. But when you are 18 and all you've known for all your life is your educational experience, this is a significant event. And I have photographs that I can refer back to where I see, my parents and my grandparents with me, and brothers and sisters, and my schoolmates, some of whom have passed on. And these kids, through no fault of their own, are going to be denied this experience. And I really find that heartbreaking. And I just want to make the board aware of it and ask if at all there's any help or any suggestions of where we can go to perhaps find help. And if this gets postponed and pushed
Mr. Mohan,
back,
your time is up, sir. Your time is up. Well,
Sylvia, may I address this?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mohan, for coming and speaking. And actually, I had your letter in my freeholder comments tonight, so I'm just going to respond to you now. I know you said as a 50-year-old, maybe it doesn't matter. Well, to a 46-year-old, which is me, it does matter. I support this. I have a daughter who is a senior at a county high school here, and I also have another daughter who's a senior at a university in New Jersey, and I'm also a middle school principal in Bergen County with a graduating 8th grade. So I definitely have skin in the game. Unfortunately, the board does not have direct control over any graduation. That decision is left to the school boards, and then obviously we're guided by any executive orders that are issued. But as live graduations aren't permitted at this specific time, clarification was just issued by Colonel Pat Callahan in Executive Order number 107. He had stated that in the best interest and health and safety of the public, in-person ceremonies, including graduations, parades, wave parades that invite people to gather at a certain location, proms, etc., violate the enumerated conditions of the order and should therefore be canceled or postponed until such a time as these restrictions are lifted. So again, he also offered additional clarification the following day, stating that wave parades are a great gesture that can give a sense of solidarity. The state just does not want to see 50 people standing on top of each other. He's quoted to say, on the curb of a hospital or in front of a high school, that's where the problem comes in. He had said if people wanted to get in cars to drive to every graduate at in a high school across town, and the graduate mom and dad were on the front porch or on the front lawn, that would be okay. It's just the summoning of large groups together. So he did give clarity on what his intent was. Now, what I can say what my school district did in Bergen County, and we made the decision was the postponement. I think that really is the way to go. We postponed until August with the hopes that we would be able to do live graduations with the students. If at that point it still cannot be done, then there's always the virtual option, but we chose based upon that guidance to go with postponement. So what I can say, I cannot speak for this board as a whole. I would be more than happy to, work with you and, just issue a letter in support of the suggestion of postponement of these graduations, because I think they are a rite of passage. It's incredibly important. These students, through no fault of their own, lost their perhaps sports season for the spring. If they were in performing arts, they lost the ability for their last performance. They don't have the prom. There are so many things that are rites of passage for this age group that our students missed. So I am a big proponent of postponement in the hopes that by that time we would be able to do that. And, that's my suggestion would be, to issue a letter just, urging the boards of education to consider a postponement.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next caller is Tammy Horsfield, President, Sussex County Chamber of Commerce.
Tammy, do you want to talk now or you want to talk at comments, which is right after this?
I'll do it after you're done with the public.
Okay. I'll go through the freeholders, and then I was planning on introducing you at that point.
Okay. Thank you.
Our next caller is David Kolstad from Andover Township.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't find the agenda on the website, so I just wanted to clarify if there's going to be an update on the Andover subacute and rehab situation.
Yes, as much as I have, yes.
Okay, great. And the other thing I wanted to mention was when I first moved here over nearly 15 years ago, my first encounter with the library system, Sussex County Library System, was at the Dennis Library. And I thought it was such a great resource. And I really support the Sussex County Library System, and I think it does a great job. And I hope that it continues to receive the strength of support and funding that it deserves.
Thank you very much.
That was our last caller, unless there is a new caller.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak that wasn't on the list?
I would like to speak. Linda Gianni, Andover Township.
Okay, Linda.
I would also like to say Will has done a fabulous job as director at the library, and the presentation was wonderful, and it's great news to hear about adding on to Dennis Library. So thank you, Will. Question I have is on finance. Item B under county college bonds. What are those bonds going to be used for?
What? Did you hear that?
Yeah. The resolution that is on for the board's consideration this evening is the structure of the financing that will be done for a variety of projects that were previously authorized by the Board of School Estimate. So it is not borrowing for new or additional projects. It simply establishes the way in which the short and long-term financing for those notes will be done.
Okay, thank you.
For anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, not hearing anyone. Have a motion, please, to bring it back to the board.
Fantasia, so moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second, Hertzberg.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Now we're on to freeholder comments, and I'll begin with freeholder Anthony Pisano.
Thank you, Sylvia, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us for this meeting. There's a lot happening in Sussex County, and I wanted to provide a few updates. And I'll start where we last left off at our special meeting last week, where the Freeholder Board met and agreed to send an urgent letter to the governor, urging him to deploy the National Guard to Andover subacute. And as of last Friday morning, the National Guard had been at that facility providing critical support. And I am also pleased to report that as of this morning, the Sussex County Division of Health is reporting no documented complaints to their offices regarding this facility since the National Guard's arrival. Although this situation is absolutely nowhere near resolution, it does certainly reflect serious improvement, and I am thankful to the men and women of the National Guard who are on the ground in Andover and keeping our residents and the staff in that facility safe. As we also mentioned last week, Sussex County's COVID-19 drive-through testing center is up and running. And again, a big thank you to our staff, our partners, our volunteers, our first responders for their work on this. I know there'll be some other updates about this later, but it does appear that Sussex County's COVID-19 testing capacity has vastly improved, with a medical supply that is currently outpacing a medical demand based on the testing numbers that we are seeing. We also still have our testing agreement in place with Morris County at their CCM facility, and more information about testing can be found right on the county website, where you can call the county's COVID-19 hotline, which is a really great resource for your questions, as you'll be connected to a Division of Health staff member or a Sussex County Medical Reserve Corps volunteer. Their hours are Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. They can be reached at 973-579-9488. And I also wanted to mention that Sussex County's daily number of new COVID-19 cases has decelerated compared to the numbers coming out of the county a month ago. These are encouraging signs. I'm confident that Sussex County will continue to tackle COVID-19 and look out for the health and well-being of our residents. And that leads me to what I believe is a brewing crisis when it comes to the health and well-being of our residents. And it isn't the virus. It is our local economy. In March, the Department of Labor Bureau of Statistics indicated that the unemployment percentage in Sussex County was roughly 4%. We don't have any formal concrete numbers from them about today's outlook in Sussex County, but here is what we do know. Sussex County's workforce is roughly 75,250 people. From March 21st to May 2nd, we are aware of 15,016 unemployment claims filed by Sussex County residents. These numbers indicate that Sussex County's unemployment went from 4% to roughly 20% in less than 2 months, and that number is continuing to grow. That is what we know, and I am very fearful, frankly, of what we don't. I had an opportunity to participate in the Sussex County Chamber of Commerce weekly briefing last Friday, and our chamber has been working their tail off, helping our businesses for weeks, and I'm happy that Tammy is on this call, but it is clear that our local businesses can't go on much longer with their doors closed. Sussex County's own Division of Health and Human Services is now reporting that these unemployment numbers are concerning to them. Our health experts are concerned about our local economy in the wake of COVID-19. The reopening of our local businesses in a safe and appropriate manner is a huge priority. And as you may have heard by now, the Hunterdon, Warren, and Sussex County freeholders have announced that they're working together to develop a regional plan to reopen local businesses that are struggling financially as part of the governor's shutdown orders. The three boards have instructed their administrations, their health departments, and other resources to prepare a plan in conjunction with the governor's executive orders, including the new ones today, to get their local businesses and economy back up and running. And once prepared, this plan for a progressive reopening of this region will be submitted to Governor Murphy. Here in Sussex County, we're fortunate to have the help of the Sussex County Chamber of Commerce, and I know this is a truly important and necessary next step forward towards normalcy for this region, and all three counties are calling it critical to restart local businesses, as none of them have received any direct federal or state stimulus funding when it comes to COVID-19 support. And that brings me to my final point quickly, and I know Freeholder Yardley has been rightfully vocal about this, and it should be noted that nearly all of Sussex County's COVID-19 response efforts have been paid for by Sussex County's own budget. Sussex County is one of the very few counties in New Jersey that has not received state or federal financial support to combat COVID-19. And this is despite the fact that Sussex County, just Sussex County, has more COVID-19 cases and deaths than 16 states in the United States of America. This is obviously not sustainable in what has become a war against this virus, and we need to make sure that Washington, D.C., and Trenton, New Jersey, understand the need for more, or dare I say any, financial help for the county's frontline fight against COVID-19. Because if this war is going to be won in Sussex County, it will be done in large part with the same help and resources that were given to our neighboring counties who are also in great need of it. There's a lot going on. I know we have some other reports today, but thanks again very much for joining us. And thank you, Freeholder Director Patillo, as that does include my report for tonight.
Thank you, Anthony. Freeholder Herb Yardley, please.
Oh, thank you, Sylvia. Anthony, very nice report. Look forward to working with that with the 3 county coalitions. You may have noticed the sign out in the Newton Square honoring our hospital workers, essential workers, and first responders. It is National Hospital Week, and I wanted to just take the opportunity to say thank you to our hospitals, health systems, healthcare workers, first responders, and essential workers that have been supporting our needs in our community during the current COVID-19 pandemic. That sign represents the feelings of the Freeholders. I want to thank those that are in the front lines of this pandemic, putting themselves at risk to help those in need during this period of crisis. We need to remember to thank every nurse, doctor, practitioner, staff members, EMT, first responders, and all the essential workers for helping and protecting us during this time of crisis. All of us, just want everyone to know, all of us from the Freeholder Board and the residents of the county, we express our thanks for your service. I'd like to also talk tonight about, just to let everyone know that we still have not heard from the governor in regards to the funding for our testing, and I have not heard from the federal government. As far as the governor is concerned, he continues to talk how important testing is, and we continue to provide service without funding from the federal government and from the state. And I'm hoping that the governor will give us some of the funding that he has available at his discretion. He says testing is essential, an essential piece for protecting our residents. And if that's true, Governor, you should be providing funding for testing in our county, one of the highest rates of COVID deaths and people getting this virus. And what I've decided to do is actually, I'm going to start reaching out to some private institutions. Now, what I learned today was that New Jersey will be getting $613 million from the federal government to expand coronavirus testing, which is key, according to the governor, to reopening the economy. And on Tuesday, he talked about an ongoing effort to ramp up testing for the coronavirus in the state, which has the second largest number of cases in the country. And again, will we get funding from this governor? And I really don't want to think that it's intentional. I haven't received an answer from the letter that we sent to the governor. So in that respect, we haven't heard anything on the funding. I do want to say that on another item that the governor announced, he's going to hire 1,000 new people, as reported in the New Jersey Herald, to do inspections of nursing homes. And I just want to read something from Politico New Jersey Playbook. You may remember that there was Wantage Center for Nursing. It was a center that had children. 11 children died in that facility, and this was in 2018. And the state responded. I'm going to read some stuff. The law signed last year required long-term care facilities to develop outbreak response plans. The thing is, as often happens in the legislative process, by the time the bill became law, the requirement had been watered down so that just a handful of long-term care facilities actually have to run those plans by the state. The state health department argued against stricter requirements, Politico's Sam Sutton reports, citing limited resources. That's not to suggest nursing homes wouldn't be in this crisis had those standards been stricter, But between this and having nursing homes readmit coronavirus positive residents as the state worried about potentially overwhelming hospital, it raises questions. I am very concerned about actions. I'm concerned that we have to Oprah every piece of information that we want from the state in regards to this facility. Why the information is not made public, I don't know. I think we need legislation to make it available to everyone, and these reports should be required to be on site, and there should be some monitoring or posting system right on the doors when you walk up to a facility. So that's all I have for my report as of right now, and hopefully we'll hear back from the federal government and from the state in regards to funding. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Herb. Freeholder Josh Hertzberg.
Yes, thank you, Sylvia. I want to thank Freeholder Pistano and Freeholder Yardley for their comments. I think you hear a single thing being repeated. Not a single thing. I think there's a lot being repeated. But initially, I think we had a big focus on the health and well-being of our citizens, testing. There was a lot of work that was done by the county, by everyone involved to make sure that we took care of the immediate health needs for this pandemic. And now we see a shift of focus, I think, nationwide to trying to keep everyone safe, but also get our economy started, because we'll be dealing with another national disaster if we can't find a way to safely restart our economy and save some of these businesses, family-owned businesses, people that have worked their whole life to build something, and in a single swoop, we've seen family dreams lost. And I think I'm glad that these counties reached out. I'm glad that we're working together to try and come up with a plan to get things going again, because we need to. Statistic after statistic shows that you will have all kinds of new health issues and all kinds of new problems that will come along with what could be, a recession, almost a depression. So I'm glad that the governor announced some first steps today. I don't think it was enough, but I'm glad we're at least getting there. And hopefully, if things continue to go well, there'll be more steps. Hopefully, we can give him some ideas of how we can start differently up in our counties. We're in a different position. We're more rural. We're more spread out. We don't have the same issues that the more urban areas do. We're different. And hopefully he'll allow us to maybe do things a little differently to help our economy, because it's desperately needed. And I want to just say, the Economic Development Partnership and the Chamber of Commerce do a lot of work in general. They have ramped up what they've done. I mean, it has been tremendous. I can't tell you, I get about 300 emails a day, between work and county and my 5 or 6 different email accounts. And I can't tell you how many, Tammy Horsfield's name are on these days, because she is out there along with her group working hard to try and help the businesses get the resources they need, keep everyone going. So one of the things that people don't realize is that there's a lot of work that's done behind the scenes that you don't see. And one of the things that our board unanimously agreed on, and something I've talked about at several meetings, is what used to be a partnership. When the counties felt like it could no longer financially have its own economic development, they started a partnership. And then at some point, they stopped being partners with that partnership and stopped funding it. And it took up the brunt of the work of keeping our county's economic development going. And one of the things that our board unanimously knew is that we needed to be better partners and help bolster economic development in the county. And one of the things that we have talked about recently was not only financially supporting that effort, but also, one, finally getting a planner into the county to start helping do their job, but then also having a presence on economic development in the county, which is what the Economic Development Partnership was going to work on with us, was a physical presence at the county helping develop that plan. And, it's something that we never got to launch because of what happened, but it is something that we are doing. And I don't think that we get to talk about that enough. And I think the timing couldn't be better to get that going and hopefully help restart our economy. I also just want to talk about, I just came back. Basically, I was calling in on my drive home from Knoll Village, which is the senior housing in Sparta. Has, senior housing, and then it also has their assisted living facility. I want to give them a shout out for locking it down right in the beginning and not having one case in there because of the hard work of the management and the people that were there. And something that I had talked about partnering with Mohawk House to do a dinner for our seniors here in Sparta. And I figured we'd probably have to wait maybe end of the year, maybe next year because of the shape some of our restaurants were in. But instead, I was surprised when they partnered with Franklin Sussex Auto Mall, and we actually just delivered 160 meals there for our senior community, so they could have a nice dinner. I mean, I know a lot of them aren't getting out; they don't get to see their families. They're on lockdown, and we wanted to do something special for them. So I want to thank Mohawk House, I want to thank Franklin Sussex Auto Mall, and I want to thank the facility and the staff for getting the entire team there to help deliver door to door this evening, so those guys could have a nice dinner. The last thing I want to talk about, we announced in the beginning of the meeting that we were going to go into executive session at the end. Inevitably, we always get criticism for doing that, but I asked for this. We had been working behind the scenes, the Freeholder Board, our attorney, trying to have a response to what's going on at the assisted living facilities, and seeing report after report, fines levied, fines lifted. I'm still getting reports. I'm still getting messages from people saying that there's still not sufficient staff. Things still aren't going the way they should, and feeling helpless. And I know, as helpless as I feel, the family members and the people that are in those facilities, I think about how they feel. So one of the things we talked about is, as long as these people are living in our county, we cannot turn a blind eye. We cannot say it's somebody else's responsibility. Although we don't have a lot of authority, we're not going to let that stop us from trying to do the right thing. And one of the things that we're going in executive session to talk about is creating a task force to investigate and prepare a report on what we have found, what's going on, and how it can be fixed. And if locally we can't fix it, and if the state doesn't have the ability to fix it, well, then maybe we have to go to the next level. But, some of these things that we're talking about involve contracts, and that's why it has to be an executive. But I wanted the public to know that we didn't forget, and, we're glad to see that there has been a response. We're glad to see the National Guard there, but we're also not going to forget what happened, and we're not going to let it go. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Josh. Deputy Director Dawn Fantasia.
Thank you. I'm going to begin just regarding Andover subacute. This week I was horrified to learn that as of a letter issued by the New Jersey Department of Health on March 31st of this year, long-term care facilities and nursing homes were specifically prohibited from testing patients for COVID prior to entry or re-entry of the facility. So let me say that again. The Department of Health issued a letter on March 31st saying that long-term care facilities were prohibited from testing an incoming patient for COVID. So mixing potentially positive residents with negative residents. How on earth is this even possible? Were any lessons not learned from the deaths of 11 children in 2018 here in New Jersey, or no lessons learned from Washington State when COVID first ravaged the long-term care facilities there and we heard about it in the news? And now the watered-down crisis response plan that comes out from what was supposed to be ordered in 2018, this is not an adequate nor an ethical state response. It's absolutely shameful, and my heart goes out to the victims and their families. Switching gears a bit, there's another thing that broke my heart. Part of what we do, obviously, is constituent response. I received email communication from a resident that she gave me permission to share, and I want to share it, and I think it's important. She wrote to me, "Good morning, Dawn. I saw your post, and it gave me some sort of hope. I'm the owner of a nail and waxing studio here in Sussex County, and it's been my home now for many years. I've been in the nail business for over 35 years, Just last year, I decided with great sacrifice to open my own little studio, which has had an amazing support from the community. I operate the studio alone. I have no employees. I work by appointment only. And one of the reasons my studio is a success is because I offer the best prices in town, great customer service, and observe high standards of hygiene protocols. My studio has a 5-star rating in all online searches. I'm 58 years old. I'm single, no living relatives, and I am my only source of income. And my studio is my only source of income. And it's now been closed since March 16th. I also own a little farm in Montague where I rescue chickens. I was not personally prepared financially to be unemployed unexpectedly for this amount of time. I now owe 3 months of mortgage, 3 months of business rent, including utilities, taxes, insurance in both places. I've applied for every single source of funding, loans, grants, you name it, and received notice that Sussex County does not qualify for these grants, or the state has ran out of funds for small businesses. I can't collect unemployment, and until now, I have not received my $1,200 stimulus check. I just received a letter from the bank that holds my mortgage, and they are taking me to court the second week of June for defaulting on my payments. I don't have much cash in hand. I've only been in business for a year, and I live paycheck to paycheck. Please, we need your help. The longer New Jersey takes to open non-essential businesses, the better chance we can't catch up with our bills, forcing us out of business, and in turn, foreclosure, losing our homes. I've already taken measurements to keep my clients safe by installing a plexiglass partition cover on my manicure table where only your hands are exposed. Please, we need your help more than ever before I have to file for bankruptcy. Thank you. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm hoping tonight someone has the mercy to hear our cry for help. So I just thought that that was important in context of the discussion that's going to happen this evening. Switching gears again, Freeholder Director Sylvia Patillo will speak more on the coalition of the counties of Sussex, Warren, and Hunterdon. Also, Sheriff Strada has provided me with updates from the testing center, and Director Patillo will speak more about those numbers as well. And thank you to the volunteers who have been so helpful at the testing center. So I have some information regarding countywide testing stats to share with you. Public Health Nursing has been working with the county's epidemiologists to determine the residents who've tested positive for COVID-19 and have recovered. As of yesterday, 4,472 residents have been tested. 1,042 residents have tested positive. So we currently have a 28% positive rate. 766 residents have recovered. 140 cases remain under investigation. And sadly, 136 residents are deceased. So the current recovery rate with those numbers that we have available to us is 73%. Then in talking about Powassan virus in relation to our tick-borne illness proclamation this evening, in 2019, the CDC conducted a Powassan virus disease study here, and the county has been provided with the survey results. 274 people from 173 households participated in the study. Blood test results showed that 1% of those participants tested positive for Powassan disease. Tick-borne disease risk, 72% reported ticks crawling on them in the past year. 42% reported attached ticks in the past year, and 26% of those who responded had a previous tick-borne disease diagnosis. Participants with outdoor pets, 63% frequently checked their pets for ticks, and 51% found ticks on their pets. Activities that increase the risk of finding ticks, yard work, gardening, hiking, hunting, or spending more than 7 hours outdoors per week. With our social distancing guidelines and a lot of indoor spaces being closed due to COVID, I would anticipate that ticks are certainly going to have plenty of hosts available to them. So it's something we have to be very, very careful about. Older adults are less likely to prevent tick bites compared to younger adults, but are at most risk for severe illness and complications. So we recommend that before you go outside, you use insect repellent, because 59% of the respondents never or rarely use insect repellent. And you're also urged to wear long sleeves and to wear long pants outdoors, whereas 41% and 48% respectively did not wear long sleeves or wear pants necessarily. Perhaps they were in shorts. After you're back, you are supposed to check your body for ticks. 58% checked for ticks. Wash and dry your clothing and shower or bathe after. Now, discussing public bathing facilities here in the county. Sussex County does offer spectacular lake communities and some really nice public bathing facilities. And in order to help our beaches and pools open as soon as allowable, the health department has sent all public bathing facilities the forms they need to complete and return so that a 2020 license may be issued to them. If you have questions or need more information, you can call the health division at 973-579-0370. And also regarding foods, the Division of Health has been in regular contact with all of our food establishments to assist them in continuing to operate during the pandemic and to prepare them when it is time to reopen. The latest guidance from the FDA, U.S. Food and Drug Administration, is posted on the county website. It has instructions for cleaning and disinfecting, social distancing requirements, and reminds restaurants for the best practices for the pickup and delivery services, which have been very helpful both for those of us who are staying home and for the businesses themselves. FDA guidance also discusses requirements for the physical facility that should be implemented before reopening happens. Our finance department has just completed their first remote audit. We do have our rating call on Friday with S&P, and the finance department is really doing an excellent job supporting the other departments when it comes to COVID issues. Regarding the library is actively working on expanding and enhancing services and materials that are available to our residents in a remote fashion. So in other words, there's ebooks for all ages, downloadable audiobooks, digital magazines, and graphic novels. There's subscription access to Rosetta Stone consumer reports. There's resources for job seekers, live story time, cultural and educational programs. So you can find it all on the county website. Or if you don't have access to that, you can call the library at 973-948-3660. And I also have an update from Sussex County Community College. They continue to move forward during this time. They finished their classes for the spring semester by remote or distance learning. In addition to those priorities, students at the college have been engaged in an online baking contest, a talent show, and a poetry contest. And they're trying to keep developing initiatives to maintain student engagement through the spring semester. Quite sadly, today was the scheduled day for the commencement ceremony, the 2020 commencement ceremony. Approximately 450 graduation candidates would have been eligible to walk today. And since the live ceremony cannot take place, the college is actively creating ways to celebrate the graduates with virtual recognition and campus and county-wide signage, and an opportunity to walk at graduation next spring, 2021, is an option for the graduates who would like to participate in a traditional graduation ceremony. And the college also would like to thank Freeholder Director Patillo, who provided a message for the students. Students are still receiving academic advising through scheduled Zoom meetings. The meetings have been pretty well received, and enrollment, we all know enrollment is a priority. Applications are slightly up, so that's the good news. And all of the student orientation and registration sessions are sold out through May, so that's a very good sign. The county college continues to hold its tuition level for the year 2020-2021. So that's absolutely excellent for affordability and attainability. And in addition to a range of scholarships, there's also special rates for veterans and for senior citizens. And the college also is doing kind of some unique programming this summer if you're interested in that. Campers aged 8 to 14 have the opportunity to enjoy interactive and fun activities through virtual summer camps. So the college is paired with Black Rocket, which is a national leader in tech education. They're offering an at-home camp experience, and it's STEAM-based. And they do esports. They have video game design, computer code, how to create animated memes and games and courses themed around Minecraft, Pokemon, Roblox, all of those popular things with that age group of students. And last but not least, 2 Sussex County Community College students who are part of the college's entrepreneurial initiative on campus took the lessons that they've learned to another level. Their efforts will ultimately help hundreds of first responders. Lillian Kornmeyer and Scott Ragaber, both whom work at the college campus store, participated in a call to come up with a plan to get N95 masks into the hands of first responders into Atlantic Health System at Newton Hospital. And the students are asking for donors to help support their fundraiser through the College Foundation. Donations are being accepted at sussexcc.square.site. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dawn. And for everyone, I appreciate all of that information. I'm going to try to move through my comments quickly. About the Andover Subacute and Rehab Center Buildings 1 and 2, we all know now that the National Guard is present in those buildings, and we're grateful for that activation of the National Guard into Andover. Atlantic Health began testing everyone in the Andover Nursing Home Buildings 1 and 2 today. Everyone will be tested twice. The second test will occur 1 week after the first test, and they anticipate that all testing will be completed within 2 weeks. Now, the National Guard was deployed to Building 1 last Friday on May 8th, and I have some numbers with all of the different long-term care facilities. For the Andover Subacute and Rehab Center Buildings 1 and 2, for Building 1, reported they have total COVID positive residents 40, total COVID deaths 16, all facility patient deaths 23. The total COVID positive staff is 21. Total COVID positive staff deaths was 1. The number of licensed beds is 159. The number of residents is 111, and the number of staff is 148. So if you look at this, they have 111 residents, and their staff is only 148. Now in Building 2, the total COVID positive residents is 136. Total COVID deaths is 57. And all facility patient deaths, COVID and non-COVID, is 98. The total COVID positive staff is 60, and the total positive staff deaths is 1. Now they have licensed beds. Their number is 543. Number of residents is 351. And the number of staff, as reported, is 509. They are all complaining, all of the long-term care facilities are complaining that there is a desperate need for gowns. Okay, next is the Homestead. The owners have COVID tested everyone in the Homestead. They've reported total COVID positive residents is 56, total COVID deaths is 18, and all facility patient deaths is 19. Total COVID positive staff is 10, but there's none now. COVID positive staff deaths is 0. Number of licensed beds, 159. Wait a minute, that sounds the same as here. Yeah, I don't think that goes, licensed beds, I'm sorry, is 128. Number of residents is 59, and the number of staff is 133. So they have double the staff to patients. Number of residents, 59, and staff is 133. That's interesting. Okay, for Barnhill, total COVID positive residents is 5. Total deaths of COVID is 0, and all facility patient deaths is also 0. The total COVID positive staff is 11. Total COVID positive staff deaths is 1, but that same person worked at the Andover facility. The number of licensed beds is 150. Number of residents is 96. Number of staff is 181, almost twice, 2 to 1. And they are also having trouble with gowns. It also says currently enough staffing, but has access to a lab for testing. Valley View, the owners have COVID tested everyone in Valley View. Total COVID positive residents is 13. COVID deaths is 7. All facility patient deaths is 7. So all of their deaths were COVID related. Total COVID positive staff is 5, and total COVID positive staff deaths is 1. Number of licensed beds, 28. Number of residents, 13. Number of staff is 50. Those are the numbers that I have today. I'd like to go on and talk about the Sussex County Skylands Ride, something that we tend to forget about but is extremely necessary for our residents. The Sussex County Transit System Skylands Ride is continuing to transport our residents to essential businesses and essential services within the county. The service is currently providing about 130 trips daily to the grocery store, pharmacy, pet store, or other essential services. Essential workers are using the bus service to go to their jobs. The workers are extremely thankful for the ride. Without the bus service, they could not work, and they would not be able to feed their families. Other passengers ride the bus to buy essentials. The bus service is available to all residents 18 and over. Children may ride the bus with an adult. Several seniors in their 90s still take the bus to the grocery store as they have no friends or family close enough to help them get the groceries. The passengers are overwhelmingly thankful that the bus service is still running, because without the bus they would be homebound. Guide and Ride service by request is available Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And to schedule a trip with Guidance Ride, any resident may call 973-579-0580 24 hours in advance. The last thing I would like to speak about is the coalition, the regional coalition that we just joined with Warren and Hunterdon counties to develop a regional plan designed for reopening local businesses. These three counties did not receive any money, as we have mentioned numerous times, whether it was stimulus from the federal government or directing any discretionary funds from the state. So we are working together on a regional basis to provide for a united means of restarting the economy and protecting the health and the safety of our residents. And given the timing of things in the state, as evidenced by the governor's announcement today, we anticipate delivering a plan to the governor's office, hopefully by late next week. Freeholders have been working with our business administrator and with Tammy Horsfield, who is president of the Sussex County Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Partnership, to engage businesses and municipalities, gather information and personal opinions on innovative ways to open local businesses safely and responsibly. A while ago, I spoke to mayors on the mayor conference, asking them to discuss concerns of their own local businesses in their own towns and to gather their ideas on how they would put safeguards in place to make staff and customers feel confident. So it's been an ongoing work to really gather all of this information, concerns from local businesses, and now we want to develop a plan so our whole region can be heard by the governor. And I asked Tammy Horsfield to be on this call, and I'm grateful that you're here, Tammy, because you have so much to add to this, because you have been the eyes and the ears of the businesses for a long time, not just during this crisis. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Tammy.
Thank you, Sylvia, and good evening, everyone, and thank you for allowing me the time to give you an update. I want to start out first responding to Dawn's the reading of Dawn's letter from the individual, the small business owner, who really has quite a heartbreaking story. Unfortunately, over these last 2 months, I've heard way too many of those kind of stories. I'm really concerned about our local businesses. Many of them are very small sole proprietors or 1 or 2 employees, and they are truly being affected greatly by this crisis. At home as well as at their business. And many of them are either lost in the system of unemployment or a sole proprietor who had to wait so long to even apply for the PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, that they're still waiting and still lost in the system. And the Department of Labor really has not been there to answer questions, to respond to individuals, and it's really been heartbreaking. But for the public's information, I wanted to start out by introducing myself. I am the president of the Sussex County Chamber, a business organization that was established in 1980, and I'm happy to say I'm celebrating my 30th anniversary while they celebrate their 40th anniversary. I've been with them for 30 years. The Chamber represents over 550 businesses, actually very close to 600 in the county. And I'm also the president of the Sussex County Economic Development Partnership, which is a separate 501c6 nonprofit organization that was established in partnership with the Freeholder Board back in 1996, and whose role is to assist businesses with expansion, recruitment, and retention of business, and to assist those who are seeking land and buildings, financial resources, municipal assistance, working with county and state and federal departments and agencies, including the Sussex County Planning and Economic Development Group, New Jersey New Jersey DEP, DOT, the Highlands Council, and many more organizations. But the funding for the EDP is primarily through investments and donations from the business community. I don't know that a lot of people know that. And our board is really comprised of several highly accomplished and well-respected board members from across the county, also a town representative and a county freeholder, and of course our county administrator. I want to start with a COVID update for you, if I may. And I want to start out first by thanking the County of Sussex for your foresight and your efforts to establish this tri-county coalition or partnership with Hunterdon, Warren, and Sussex, and to develop it as a regional plan, because I think it may be more acceptable in our governor's eyes. I'm also very pleased to be working so closely with all of you, including our administrator, our county staff, and of course you, our freeholders, to establish this plan to restart our economy with business openings, restoration, and recovery. I've also been out there working with the business community to get their input regarding this plan. I think any plan that we look to put together collectively, it's really important that we have business input and buy-in. So as you all know, and I think you know, we reached out this afternoon to individual businesses across the county and continue to do so, to ask them to submit to us their input regarding business opening and to share with us their safety protocols, their safety and health protocols, as well as what they think will be needed to open up safely and responsibly. Since the beginning of this pandemic, we've also had great conversations and reaching out to our towns. We work pretty closely with our towns and really try to do that on a regular basis. And we've been updating them on all the executive orders that have come out and changed and helping them through their own issues, executive orders that reflect their budget changes, taxes, state aid, all kinds of areas where towns really need support, and helping them understand how they can help their town, their businesses in their town. And a lot of the towns have been sending their people, their businesses to us to help with applications, to help with assistance, and anything else that they need. So we've been really trying to do that as best we can. And since the beginning of this crisis, we've been working pretty tirelessly in partnership both with you, our freeholders, and our legislators to assist these businesses in securing financial assistance. And as I mentioned, understanding the executive orders, because there were a lot of gray areas, and there continues to be a lot of gray areas. People who didn't know whether or not they really could open, or what it meant, curbside. How did they have to collect their money? Providing breaking news, and really breaking news on programs and financial programs that are available. And we continue to do that because it's critical that our businesses apply for these things as quickly as possible, because in a matter of 15 minutes, the funds are gone. And then that's what the biggest challenge has been in our county. From the beginning, unfortunately, many of our banks had not yet been preferred lenders to the SBA. And we're in the process of getting approvals to be SBA approved. And so that took some time initially. And then, of course, Treasury, the money didn't come down as quickly as it should have come down. And it left everyone waiting for funds to be available. But we're also working, in addition, with our leadership throughout the county, including our Congressional, Senate, Assembly, our freeholders, our Health and Human Services, and our hospital leaders, in bringing them together on the weekly briefings that we're giving, called the County State of Affairs Weekly Briefings. And on those briefings, we're able to update and answer a lot of questions that have come to us regarding various areas of dealing with this crisis. I've also really been very involved in reaching out to our governor. I actually have had some input with some of his aides, but I also have sent letters to the governor asking him to consider some reopening. Some of those came through today. The curbside pickup for anyone who is not non-essential because obviously essential was the one area that you were able to provide some services, but non-essential opened up today with curbside, and we were able to have we'll be able to have some drive-throughs and some drive-bys, if you will. Talked about some of our graduates with that as well. And looking at some construction restrictions being lifted, which will allow for some economic development coming through as we move forward. Now, this is only a start. Obviously, our businesses are very challenged right now. I do have to say that I, too, did not receive a response from the governor on my letters, but I have received a response from Senator Sweeney, and I just received it today, as a matter of fact, telling us how he really is working very closely with some of our other senators, Sarlo and, of course, Senator Oraho and Ruiz, and they're working, in Singleton, to be the Senate's bipartisan fiscal strategist, looking to develop plans to restart the state's economy in the wake of this public health crisis. But obviously, ultimately, it will be the governor's decision, and they're doing their best to make a difference. They said they're going to be assessing all the factors that will shape the state's fiscal and economic conditions and make strategic plans needed to recover the damage to the finances of individuals, businesses, and public service. And they said this includes developing a plan for a full-scale reopening of services such as construction, car sales, elective surgeries, and other medical needs. And again, we heard a little bit about medical surgeries coming on board in the near future, so I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more about that. But I want to go back to telling you a little bit more about some of what we've done, especially in regard to conducting surveys in the community. We've gone out to our businesses, our schools, and our municipalities to gauge the impact of COVID-19 on our county to date. The businesses surveyed, the preliminary business survey, I should say, because we're still receiving information, has told us that 91% of our businesses have been directly or indirectly negatively impacted by this pandemic, and that cash flow is obviously the biggest challenge right now. We also know that 50% of those who responded said that they were not able to shift their business to a virtual working environment, and they've been closed. And only 29% as of today have received any financial assistance. That's 29%. We have asked people to update that as they receive information regarding funding, but to date, we're at 29% from those who have taken the survey. Our town surveys showed that 59% of our towns were affected negatively since this pandemic began, and 94% of them are very concerned about property tax reduction, and also 94% also believe their residents are ready to begin seeing restrictions lifted and businesses open. In regard to our schools, of course, 100% of them have been directly or indirectly impacted, and 64% have shared that they are spending less right now. Many of our schools have supported the community through fundraisers, providing PPE, 3D printers, and several said their biggest concern when they return is transportation, sufficient PPE, health-related issues, and staffing. But on a positive note, I want to say how grateful I am to the numerous businesses and individuals from across the county who have really been taking on quite the ride here, who have reached out to us to thank us for the assistance we've given them throughout this process. Residents and businesses alike have reached out to both the EDP, Economic Development Partnership, and the Chamber for all kinds of needs, including but not limited to unemployment concerns, labor issues, financial assistance, application assistance. I've even had people who have had family-run businesses. They're older population, and they don't have computers. They couldn't access applications and submit them because they didn't have computers. So we literally helped them fill out those applications and get them in for them. And talk about heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to see some of what I've seen. But I'm grateful for the kind words and encouraging us to continue to seek answers and find support as we assist them really around the clock, as all the phones are now directed to my personal cell phone. So I've certainly been getting a lot of those calls. I also want to make you aware that we're currently making, personally making my voice heard as part of many organizations across the state. I'm very involved in the New Jersey Business Coalition, which is a group of 80 businesses and nonprofit groups, which are providing the governor and the legislature with a framework to open up the state for business, as well as working closely with New Jersey Travel Industry Association, the New Jersey Division of Travel and Tourism, and the New Jersey Destination Marketing Association, which we are a DMO, a destination marketing organization, and I am also, I have my CDME, which is an accreditation for tourism. I also want to share that the economic development projects are still moving forward here in Sussex County. Some good news at this time. My primary focus, of course, has been helping our existing business and will continue to be helping them reopen, helping them stay open, and helping them to thrive. However, you should know that developers are still seeking new opportunities. Some of them are existing businesses that are looking to expand and looking at new sites, and also opening up new businesses. And we at the Economic Development Partnership are also marketing our area to future residents and visitors who just might want to buy a home or start a business here once this is all over, and they see what a wonderful place we have here with lots of open space and wonderful tourism through our state and federal parks. A topic several of our freeholders have discussed with me actually over the last several months and well prior to this COVID-19, as we have been looking at our housing issues as well. Again, I am very concerned about our economy. I'm concerned about our businesses across the board, and we're doing everything we can to help them and assist them. I think they really have seen and understand the value of us working with them, and we're going to do everything we can to help them. On another note, we've been very active in the marketing end of things. I don't know if all of you know, but we had opened up a special webpage for Sussex County special offers and deals and opportunities, and opened it up to the public across the board. And one thing I'd even say to you, even though we're a Chamber of Commerce, we have opened up to every business across this county providing services without blinking an eye, because it's important that we as a family in this county work together and try to help one another. So we've continued to do that through all of this. Helping also with providing meals for the hospital for the evening meals. I don't know if many people know that, but I'm personally responsible for working to bring 50 to 100 meals almost every evening to the medical staff at Newton Medical Center, and working through our businesses as we're actually I was able to raise funds and use those funds to help to pay for some of those meals, to help some of our restaurants as well be able to bring in some additional revenue. We're helping with masks. We have hundreds of people have reached out to us to make masks, and we've been putting together and updating a PPE list on a regular basis. We do that weekly, keeping with all of our assisted living centers and seniors communities, trying to fill what they need in the way of masks, in the way of gowns and other kinds of things. And even when we had a problem trying to find 3D printers, we were able to reach out to businesses across the county to be able to provide some of that. So in closing, I want to thank our freeholders for your ongoing communication, your support, and your guidance through these challenging times, and also for looking to grow the partnership as well. I appreciate the words this evening in regard to working with us. We've had a great relationship. I can look forward to continuing to work with that and continue to grow our efforts as partners, and to help our business community in their efforts to survive, to seek assistance, and to open their businesses. So thank you again for working so closely with both the Chamber and the EDP and our entire community, because together we are stronger. So thanks.
Tammy, it's always a pleasure to work with you. You're amazing. You're always one step ahead of everything, and we really appreciate all that you're doing. And we look forward to working with you into getting this plan together for this regional coalition. I want to thank everybody for your patience. I know our comments are long at this time, but we have a lot of information to give, and one more comment on the sites that I forgot to talk about for the testing center, and then we're going on to the rest of the agenda. The county's COVID-19 testing center at Sussex County Community College in Newton opened to the public on Monday, May 11th. The drive-through testing center offers a nasal swab testing which determines if a person is currently infected with COVID virus. This type of viral testing is among those currently recommended by the Centers for Disease Control and Infection. This site is not for COVID-19 antibody testing. It is for people who need to know if they are infected with the COVID-19 virus. The antibody test is a blood test, not a nasal swab test. Testing is available for Sussex County residents 5 years old and older. There is no fee for the testing. A resident must have an appointment. Minors must have a parent or guardian present. Residents must have a prescription and be symptomatic. And to be tested, you may make an appointment online using the county website, which is www.sussex.nj.us. If a computer is not available, you can call at 973-579-0570. The Sussex County Testing Center has tested 45 residents as of today. The Morris County College Testing Center will remain open for Sussex County residents. Residents must have a prescription and schedule an appointment online at health.morriscountynj.gov. The center has tested 436 Sussex County residents as of last Friday, May 8th. The Morris County College testing site is located at Center Grove Road in Randolph in parking lot 1. Now, at our last meeting, people were talking, how can people get tested if they don't have a vehicle or if they're undocumented? Well, we have what's called a ZUFAL, Z-U-F-A-L-L, federally qualified health clinic that is providing COVID-19 testing for their patients on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. The clinic serves patients who do not have access to a vehicle and patients who are undocumented. A person who is symptomatic must first take a telemedicine appointment at ZUFAL Clinic. They're located at 238 Spring Street, Newton. The number is 973-862-6650. With that, I will end the comment period and I will go on to number 10, which is approval of consent agenda from A to F. The Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Sussex has reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions and determined that adoption of the said resolution is in and will further the public interest. If any freeholder would like to remove an item to be considered separately, please do so now. Okay, not hearing anyone, could I please have a motion to move resolution A through F?
Fantasia, so moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second, Hertzberg.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Terry, a roll call, please.
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Fasano?
Yes.
Freeholder Hertzberg?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Patillo?
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley?
Yes.
Okay, number 11 is the approval of minutes. A motion is needed to approve the minutes from our regular meeting of April 22nd, 2020. Motion,
I'll
please.
make the motion, Yardley.
Okay, a second?
Second, Fantasia.
Dawn Fantasia, thank you. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? No. Okay, number 2 is I need a motion to approve executive session, April 22nd, 2020. Can I please have that motion?
Fantasia, so moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second, Anthony.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed, abstentions? Okay. Next, number 12, appointments and or resignations. We do not have any this evening, so we'll go right on to 13. Resolutions from A to N. And of course, in the beginning, when we voted on our agenda, we amended it by adding 13N, which is a resolution regarding home testing into the record. And Anthony Fasano, since you were the one that brought this to our attention, and it's very important, would you please read that resolution?
Thank you, Sylvia, and absolutely. This resolution is regarding support for COVID-19 at-home testing, and it reads, whereas coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, is a contagious and at times fatal respiratory disease caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus. And whereas outbreaks of the virus in the United States and in countries throughout the world are being addressed through a combination of quarantining, medical testing, and monitoring and community engagement. And whereas the spread of COVID-19 within the state of New Jersey and the county of Sussex constitutes an immediate public health hazard that threatens and presently endangers the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of Sussex County. And whereas on April 21st, 2020, the Food and Drug Administration authorized the first coronavirus test kit that allows people to collect their own sample at home. And whereas at-home testing eliminates the need to go to a doctor's office, reduces infection risks for frontline healthcare workers, helps conserve protective equipment, and alleviates crowding at public testing sites. And whereas New Jersey is one of 4 states in the country that has laws prohibiting testing with at-home kits. And whereas New Jersey has recognized the existence of a public health emergency in the state. And whereas the Constitution and statutes of the state of New Jersey, particularly the provisions of NJSA 2613-1, and all amendments and supplements thereto, confer upon the governor of the state of New Jersey certain emergency powers. Now therefore be it resolved by the Sussex County Board of Chosen Freeholders that the County of Sussex strongly urges the governor of the state of New Jersey to issue an executive order providing for the immediate authorization and use of at-home coronavirus testing by the residents of Sussex County and the state of New Jersey. Thank you.
We have a be it further resolved. Do you have the second part?
I'm sorry, you're right. There's a second page to this, and that's the most important. And be it further resolved that certified copies of this resolution will be forwarded to the governor of the state of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, the legislators representing Sussex County, the New Jersey Association of Counties, and the clerks of the Board of Chosen Freeholders in all 21 counties in the state of New Jersey, certified as a true copy of a resolution adopted by the board on the 13th day of May 2020. Signed by Teresa Lyons, Clerk, Board of Chosen Freeholders, Sussex County, New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anthony. I appreciate it. It's an important issue. Okay, now can I have a motion to move resolutions A through N?
Fantasia, so moved.
Thank you. A second, please.
Yardley, I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? Not hearing any. Terry, would you call the vote, please?
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Fasano?
Yes.
Freeholder Hertzberg?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Patillo?
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley?
Yes.
Okay, we are on to number 14, awards of contract, change orders, and bid. The Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Sussex has reviewed the award of contract, change orders, bids consisting of various proposed resolutions and determined that adoption of the said resolutions is in and with further the public interest. Can I please have a motion to move A through E?
Fantasia, so moved.
Yardley.
Okay,
Yardley,
and Herb, you could be a second, please? Is there
second,
any
yes, Yardley.
Any discussion? Terry, a roll call vote?
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Fasano?
Yes.
Freeholder Hertzberg?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Patillo?
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley?
Yes.
Okay, 15 financial, we have A, B, and C, which we will take separately. Could I have a motion to move A, which is the payment of bills?
Fantasia, so moved.
So moved.
Okay,
Second, Anthony.
Anthony Fasano. Is there any discussion? Not hearing any. Terry, would you call the vote, please?
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Fasano,
Yes.
Freeholder Hertzberg,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Patillo,
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley.
Yes.
Okay, we're on to B, the resolution determining the form and other details of the offering of $2.8 million in County College Bonds, Series 2020 of the County of Sussex, the College Bond Act 1971, New Jersey laws, C-12 as amended, of the County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, and providing for the sale of such bonds, and additionally determining certain matters with respect to the sale and issuance of $21,428,000 in bond anticipation notes. Can I have a motion to move that, please?
Fantasia, so moved.
A second?
Second, Anthony.
Is there any discussion? A roll call vote, Terry, please.
Freeholder Fantasia,
Yes.
Freeholder Fasano,
Yes.
Freeholder Hertzberg,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Patillo,
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley.
Yes.
On to number C, which is a resolution that cancellation of outstanding checks. May I have a motion to approve Resolution C?
So moved, Anthony.
I'll make.
Thank you, Anthony.
Second, Yardley.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion? Not hearing any. Cherry, would you call the vote, please?
Freeholder Fantasia,
Yes.
Freeholder Fasano,
Yes.
Freeholder Hertzberg,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Patillo,
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley.
Yes.
Okay, number 16 is personnel. It's our last resolution of the evening. Authorizing personnel agenda of May 13th, 2020. May I please have a motion to adopt the personnel agenda?
Fantasia, so moved.
Second, please.
Second, Anthony.
Thank you. Any discussion? Not hearing any. Cherry, would you call the vote, please?
Freeholder Fantasia,
Yes.
Freeholder Fasano,
Yes.
Freeholder Hertzberg,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Patillo,
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to ask for the administrative report, please.
I'd like to recycle a report that Freeholder Hertzberg had done earlier in the year, as I have a rather lengthy report this evening. And in conclusion, gosh, I like that. That was good. Thank you. Just two quick things, because the Freeholders really have done a very nice job of summarizing all of the efforts that county staff have been engaged in, particularly in our public health response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And I appreciate your interest and your active participation in that response. As far as the testing site goes, I just want to thank our Community Emergency Response Team volunteers and our Medical Reserve Corps volunteers, who comprise about half of the staffing at the test site. That test site would not be possible without those volunteers, and recognize them for their enthusiasm and the significant contributions that they bring to the testing site. The other comment is just to say that last night we once again had our weekly mayor's call with all of the mayors through Sussex County. I'm very pleased at the participation by the mayors on that call, and we continue to provide them with an update as to the status of the situation, as well as giving them specific county and state updates, and so we're continuing that effort as well. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. We don't have any other reports this evening. Do the freeholders have any unfinished business they would like to discuss? Okay, do you have any new business you'd like to bring to the meeting? All right, not hearing any, I'm going to open at number 21, which is the public session from the floor. Before we open the public session, we ask the callers once again waiting to make a comment to first state your name and municipality, as we did at the prior public session, and then the clerk will create a roster so that we can call your name in the order received. Can I have a motion to open the floor to the public, please?
Fantasia, so moved.
I have a second?
Second, Anthony.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 If anyone for the public would like to speak on anything, not on the agenda, but on anything, this is your opportunity. Please state your name and municipality.
I would, but I'm not in a hurry if someone else wants to go first. Do you want my name and town?
Sure, yes.
Okay, my first name is Karen, Caren. My last name is Matzner, Matzner.
Okay.
I spoke last week. I have a relative in Andover, and my town.
Ms. Matzner, excuse me. I just need your municipality. I'm just taking the names right now.
Okay, my name is I'm calling from Hoboken, New Jersey. Hoboken.
Okay, Karen, let us get everybody's name, and then we'll call them in order, okay? And thank you for being on this call.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Peter Knight in
Peter.
Frankfurt.
Okay, Peter. Anyone else?
Yes, Irene Buckley, Green Township.
All right. Anyone else?
I know my aunt is about to call in a minute.
Okay, we'll wait. If she calls in, we'll take her at the end. So we're not going to miss anybody. Is there anyone else anyone that's on this call now that would like to speak other than Karen, Peter, and Irene? Okay, not hearing any. Then Cherry, would you begin by calling the first name?
I add a name, or am I too late?
No, go right ahead.
Oh, it's Ellen Klein.
And what municipality?
I live in Ocean County, but I have a relative in Andover, subacute.
Okay, thank you. We'll call you in line.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, go ahead, Terry.
The first caller is Karen Matzner from Hoboken. You have 3 minutes, Miss Matzner.
Hi, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I have a relative in Andover, and I spoke briefly last week, and I want to again say thank you for all of what you're doing and for caring about the residents there. I know some are relatives of people in your jurisdiction, and some of us are in New Jersey, but outside. I guess I have 3 quick things I want to say. One is that last week, several people at the Freeholder meeting stated that they had to send, I think it was 17 Open Public Record Act requests to the state in order to get a report and get various forms of information about the facility. And I think that it's kind of sad that you have to submit documentation to get what should be public information and then wait 7 days and possibly be denied in some cases, or told you have to resubmit when people are dying and the disease is spreading. It can spread into the community, it can spread through the home, and everyone there is a person who worked hard all their life and needs protection. So I guess I'm glad the National Guard is in there, and I appreciate that several of you asked for them to come. I am just wondering if there's that much secrecy about what's going on there. If some of you have spoken with people either from the state or from the Guard to kind of make your experiences known, since you are getting so many calls from family members, and really a lot of times the only information comes is from people in the facility that can speak out, and not everyone there can speak. Some of them have various disabilities, so I think it's really important for us to know if there is more transparency now, and who will be communicating to the National Guard and others what needs to change in there, because it was indicated last week that you were not getting information there on what has changed. I also, a second point I want to make quickly is that either the mayor or the police chief last week had a good suggestion for the Guard about how once they get testing information, they could separate people. And I really hope that that you can be involved in talking to whoever's in charge there. And I do hope you, the third thing I want to say is I hope you do go forward with a task force, and that these ideas about, oh, we'll wait a week, then see what happens, which is some things we're hearing from officials out of the area. You can't wait a week to help people or find out information. It has to be done immediately. And I guess my question to all of you is, are you in communication with the people running things, either the state or the National Guard? Have they been more transparent? And if not, how can you get and communicate information so that changes are made to protect people in there?
All really good questions, Karen. Let me just, okay, somebody want to answer that? Go right ahead.
Yeah, Sylvia, it's Herb. I don't
Okay.
know if I can answer everything. I can tell you this, is that we are going to force the information from the state of New Jersey. We have Oprah'd this. I think we've asked for additional Oprah information. I'm going to be asking and speaking to our state representatives for some legislation proposed to make everything public and available at all times. And I spoke earlier on this, but let me clarify. There needs to be the ability for the public to easily see, not difficult, but easily see what the rating of the facility is and what the inspections are showing. And it is unfortunate that we continually have to Oprah this. I would have thought at this time maybe somebody from the state governor's office or the state health department would want to sit down and have a conversation so we don't go through this and we're able to say they're sharing information. But as of the way the laws are written right now, we have to Oprah every bit of information. And we tend to be the conduit from the county to the residents. And in reality, it's very difficult for us to take action. And I think tonight we'll be discussing some things, as Freeholder Hertzberg had said, so that we can really find some information out. But I think it's going to take statewide legislation to clear this up. And what my concern is that right now this is in the news, and the state will say a lot of things and hiring a lot of people do inspections, but we really would like to have the report of what's going on, when it's going on, and what is the game plan for the state of New Jersey down the road. Because, I am of that age, and I had a friend that spent a long time in a nursing home. And the facilities, you have to have that information. It is very important for everyone to have the proper information when you're putting a loved one in one of these facilities, and it has to be made public. So I know I didn't answer the question about us communicating with them. There are certain legal reasons, but we are working on this.
All right, so just to conclude, I want to say, yes, sorry.
Ms. Nazar, I'm sorry, your time is up. Our next caller was Peter Knight from Frankfurt. Mr. Knight, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Good evening again. Oh, tell me when to start.
You can start now.
Okay, thank you. Again, hello, everybody. First, I'd like to recognize the great leadership that the entire board has provided the county throughout this crisis. I don't believe it's gone unnoticed that our county government and services are functioning at a very high level despite all of the challenges. So with that, I'll move into what I wanted to discuss. As I believe all of you know, for the past 2 or 3 years, I've been a strong vocal advocate of putting greater emphasis on economic development in the county. I recognize that there is currently a Division of Planning and Economic Development under the government. However, my understanding is that the economic development component has been relegated to the Sussex County Economic Development Partnership. What I'm about to say is not to diminish the great work that the Sussex County Chamber of Commerce does. I'm very impressed with Tammy's report earlier. They have a fine reputation and do outstanding work. The economic development, however, is much different than the work that a chamber does. We are in dire need. This is pre-COVID-19 of major economic development in the county, with the record of diminishing population, loss or leveling of new businesses, with increased pressure created by the state for revenues for schools. It's important to grow our population, grow our business base, increase commercial property rateable in order to sustain ourselves. My recommendation is to create a full-time dedicated person, perhaps within the already existing department, Planning and Economic Development division. This person would work hand in hand with the chamber and the partnership, which would be a much-needed resource. Then additional resources to the division would be unlikely. The greatest challenge for economic development is not so much.
Mr. Knife, your time is up. Mr. Knife, your time is up.
Anyway, at some other time, I'd like an opportunity to further discuss this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter.
Our next caller is Miss Irene Buckley from Green Township.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to ask questions. I have two questions for the freeholders and one for Will Porter. Is he still part of the meeting? The library director.
Will, are you still on? Are you still on the conference call? I don't think so, Irene.
Okay, then I'll ask the question just for general information, and then I'll give him a call tomorrow to ask it directly.
Okay.
The first question for him would be, what plans could the library institute to provide services to residents that do not have access to a computer and the internet? For example, does the library still have vans that could be used to deliver materials to citizens at their municipal building? My two questions for the freeholders. The first one is, where is Sussex County out of 21 counties as to the number of COVID-19 cases? And my second question is, when will the three counties have a plan in place for opening businesses, and will that plan need approval from the state?
Need approval. The first one, I don't have those numbers for you. When it comes to the three counties, we expect to have a plan in place to submit to the governor by next week.
Okay.
What we're trying to do, and I think this is important, is that we're a different type of a region, and combining and making a coalition gives us a unified voice, because we don't have the kind of density that you have in the cities and different parts of the state. And I think when the governor is looking at this, he's looking at one idea for everybody, and we're trying to show through our plan that we're a different type of a region. Our environment is different. We're open space. We're different type of business. So get him to understand that if he could look at, the different areas within the state, maybe he could find ways to release some of those restrictions on our areas where we don't have that kind of density.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And I think that, he seems pretty reasonable in the conference calls that I've listened to with him on. And I think that will certainly work out well for us. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and he's starting. If you heard him today, he's starting. He's beginning to get a little more flexible.
Yes, I did hear that. And I think working with the three counties is an excellent idea. There are also other areas in the state that are not densely populated. So I agree that, different areas should have different ways of approaching the whole situation about reopening businesses. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next
Sylvia,
caller.
I can answer. Sylvia, I can answer the question regarding cases and case counts. So on the New Jersey Gov's dashboard, right now Sussex County is 18th out of 21 counties regarding positive test results, with 1,041. And Sussex County, just so you're aware, also is 19th out of 21 in terms of new cases by county today. And the reason why that's interesting is Sussex County is 19th out of 21 for new cases reported today. Warren County is 20th out of 21, and Hunterdon County is 21st out of 21. Those 3 counties represent this coalition of counties putting together a plan to reopen. They just so happen to be the 3 counties that are reporting the least amount of new cases by day currently, according to New Jersey's government's own website.
Thanks, Anthony.
Our next caller is Ellen Klein from Ocean County.
Yes, hello. I have a loved one in Andover subacute, and I listened in last week when you had the prior meeting, and I'll say it again, I really appreciate all the heartfelt conviction that you all have to helping the people there and the residents. It's obvious, and I greatly appreciate it. I was happy to hear on the phone call today that there's finally going to be testing starting there. That was one of my biggest concerns. I could not believe after all this time and all the deaths how there's still people who could be positive in rooms with people who may be negative. They could be asymptomatic. Nobody's differentiating. And after reading some of the, last week, reading some of the findings in the reports, that there were people there with temperatures where their temperatures weren't even being monitored. One gentleman was found with rigor mortis setting in the next morning, who had fallen the night before, had a temperature, hit his head, and the doctor gave some kind of a statement that he wasn't even alerted that the patient even hit his head or had a temperature or something to that effect. I'm obviously not quoting it. I don't have it in front of me, but it was to that effect. My concern is there going to be anybody, once the testing is established, because that's obviously first and foremost what's important now, is there going to be anybody going in to check on the residents there to make sure that all of their other health issues have been properly evaluated and addressed in the past, and especially going forward? Because if there was that much neglect, from what I read, alleged neglect to basic stuff, how do we know that any normal health care is even being given there? So I just hope that somebody also will intervene and make sure that all of these residents get checked out by a physician there, and then make sure that any health concerns are addressed, because I really am concerned about all that. So I just wanted to ask, did anybody hear if there's going to be any medical checkups or anything there for residents?
Herb, do you want to answer that?
Well, again, here's the issue. We do not have statutory authority, as far as I understand it, to go in and evaluate the procedures there. That takes some training, special training, when it comes to what they're doing. It falls under the purview of the state of New Jersey. It goes through their licensing and their inspections that the federal government does. And what they do is they'll find the deficiency when they go in, they list it, and they fine them. And this has been the process. And if you go onto the nj.gov site, you can get a copy of the latest report. And you need to OPRA, the federal government, for all of the reports. And you can go on the New Jersey website and look for the reports and violations, and it will tell you to OPRA it. They write down what the violation is, and then they say, okay, this is a violation, and now this is a fine because you didn't follow certain procedures, or you need to take corrective action and write up a plan. It is the state that's supposed to do the follow-up. So the governor announced that he's hiring 1,000 people to go through the state to see that this is done. And in my statement, I'm very concerned. In my statement earlier, when I was talking about this, we had an incident where 11 children died, and the requirements were, according to the article, watered down. So we don't know what the long-term issue and the long-term will be. It's again in the hands of the state. But I believe after what has happened here in Sussex County, that this is one of the things that we're going to keep on top of. And if we have to monthly OPRA, the monthly inspections, we'll do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, that sounds reasonable. I just don't know how specific when the state goes in there and does this checking to make these final reports. I don't know how much specificity they do. Do they check on the patient's charts to see if they've had proper medical care in the past? who knows? They may just be checking more general things. That's my concern. And I'm not saying it's in your control. I'm just voicing I'm concerned about it. After reading about some of the things that have happened there, I don't have a lot of good faith that everything is being done properly. How could I?
No, this is Freeholder Hertzberg. You shouldn't, and we don't either. And that's why we're taking the next step to try and keep an eye on it.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Okay, that's really all I wanted to say. Just worried in general about the care that people are getting there and moving forward. It needs to be a lot better than it was prior from what I've read.
Are there, thank you. Are there any other callers at this time? Hearing none.
Okay. All right, thank you. Hearing none, could I please have a motion to close the floor and bring it back to the board?
Fantasia, so moved.
Second, please.
Second, Anthony Hertzberg.
Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Thanks.
Aye.
Reminders at this time is please check the county's website at www.sussex.nj.us for meeting schedules. Terry, would you please read the executive session?
Whereas the subject matter about to be discussed may be excluded from the public portion of the meeting by resolution of the Board of Chosen Freeholders as an exception to the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12B, and whereas it appears necessary for the Board of Chosen Freeholders to discuss such matters in executive session, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Sussex, in accordance with the provisions of NJSA 10:4-12B and NJSA 10:4-13, that the Board at this time enter into an executive session from which the public shall be excluded, and be it further resolved that the general nature of the subject to be discussed relate to the following items authorized by NJSA 10:4-12B as designated below. 6, matters relating to public safety and property as a matter of investigation. And 7, matters relating to litigation, negotiations, and the attorney-client privilege. Be it further resolved that the deliberations conducted in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Sussex County Board of Chosen Freeholders, or provided by law that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. And be it further resolved that upon completion of the business for which the board has entered into the executive session, the board shall not reconvene and resume its meeting open to the public. Be it further resolved, the board expects not to take formal action after...
No, wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
We may take formal action.
Okay, I stand corrected. So I stand corrected that the board may take formal action after returning from executive session.
Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you. Could I please have a motion? Oh, wait a minute, let me hold off first. First, let me just thank everyone for being a part of this conference call. We appreciate your patience. I know it was a little long. We also appreciate all of your opinions and your concerns. They mean a lot to us, and I want to thank Will and Ray and Tammy for being a part of this and taking the time to be with us tonight. So at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session from the Freeholder Board, please.
So moved, Fantasia.
So moved, Josh Hertzberg.
Second, okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Now what?
Everybody.
So thank you. I just want to close the meeting and thank everybody for being here tonight. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, everyone.